Greetings and salutations, Dota fans. I'm Ayesee, and this is my first edition of what I've termed Ayesee RepCast. Going to be trying to bring you 2 or 3 of these per week. 2, probably more realistic. Maybe on good weeks I'll have 3, but generally speaking, this is my effort to go ahead and try and improve my solo casting abilities, as well as just produce more content for the community. So today, the game I've chosen to focus on is Empire versus Dignitas. This is from TPL. Number 3, by the way, and I'll have links to the original broadcast right below the video as well, so you can check out Triumph and his cast of this as well, but hopefully everyone will enjoy this. Right now, let's go ahead and take a look at what's happened in terms of the bans and the picks so far. We see TA, Jakiro, and Wisp picked up by Empire thus far. Dignitas picked up the Undying in first position. No surprise at all there. Undying is really just a linchpin in terms of what Dignitas tries to do each and every game. Dignitas, as most teams do nowadays, putting a lot of emphasis on dominating that early laning phase, and Dignitas just values Undying so unbelievably highly. So we're going to get to see them use that. Venomancer and CK, what stands out about those 2 picks whenever you look at what Empire has already picked up is the fact that TA is potentially going to have to deal with a duo mid. Veno and CK actually does a pretty good job of shutting down a TA if they decide to do that. It is a bit of a risky maneuver just because anytime you put a CK in a situation like that, it's kind of all or nothing. Either he has a really good laning phase or he falls behind as he moves into the mid-game phase. And we'll see again if that's going to be what the result's going to be. We can already tell Empire is putting a lot of emphasis on TA just because of their bans in the second ban phase. Looking through, you can see Quap, OD, and the Invoker taken out in the second ban phase by Empire. All 3 of those heroes are heroes that can at least hang and bang with the TA in mid, if not give her outright trouble. OD has really kind of risen in prominence lately in terms of a strong mid that can shut down other strong dominating mids, TA most among them. Once a few levels are put into the Astral Imprisonment, it's actually pretty easy to just go ahead and banish TA over and over again to the point where she lacks mana to even cast Refraction due to the intelligence loss, or the intelligence steal, I should say, that comes along with that. Dignitas is rounding their lineup out. Disruptor and Rubik, 2 very strong situational picks, but again, just goes to show, when you look at their whole lineup as a whole, Undying is going to be there to give them what they hope will be a lot of dominance in the laning phase. CK so strong in the early and mid-game. Disruptor and Rubik excel at picking heroes off more than any other 2 supports in the game really do. Disruptor with Glimpse into the kinetic field, and Rubik, of course, using telekinesis, it punishes any team for getting out of position even a little bit. One hero just 1 step out of position will be telekinesed into the enemy team and can start a team fight off, usually in a way that the team who is being telekinesed is not going to want to fight. So, Pudge going to be picked up last, and yeah, I was going to say, looking at Empire's lineup, you kind of got to look and say, okay, what do they want here? What are they going to do to try and round this lineup out? But with Pudge coming out, yeah, it's no wonder this game was very highly rated. I have not watched this game, by the way. All of my RepCasts will be games that I have not watched, but I am going to be going by the upvotes and downvotes within the game client so far as TPL and other tournament tickets that I happen to own. So I can see why there's many. Anytime you have a Pudge on the map, it creates a very fun game to cast, but it's also, in a lot of ways, very all-in for the team that does pick up the Pudge. Having a Pudge on your team gives you so much map dominance just because you're able to create a lot of fear in the minds of the team you're up against. But at the same time, Pudge has to have his kills. He has to do well early. If he falls too far behind, he's going to drop in team fights in the mid-game phase. He's going to be unable to accrue any sort of stacks on his Flesh Heap, and Flesh Heap really is what makes the hero what it is. In fact, Pudge, in theory, is the hardest carry in the game. There is no cap on Flesh Heap at the higher levels, which means that, in theory, if he gets enough kills, he can outcarry anyone regardless of items. So we'll wait and see how these lanes are going to shape out. We'll run through our lineups while we have the chance. On the side of Dignitas, looks like we're going to have Fogged setting up shop, at least for the moment, in mid here with Rubik. Disruptor going to be played by Tides of Time. Unusually, you have Tides of Time playing on the Undying. And Undying this time going to be handled by stand-in 2, and I'm almost positive, just based on previous experience, that's Bulba. So Bulba going to be playing in Tides of Time's usual role right now, playing on the Undying. Over to CK, Owie 2000, one of the leaders of the team, the primary farmer, going to be handling the CK. And Way Too Sexy, going to be playing our Snake Man, the Venomancer. On the other side of the river, as the horn blows, we've got Goldblack setting up shop with Blow Your Brain. They're on Jakiro and Pudge, respectively. SS going to be handling our Windrunner. Scandal, the mid specialist. No surprise to see him on TA here in mid. And Wisp going to be handled by Blue Stali. Not sure exactly who that is, but I'm going to imagine it's probably a pretty consistent player, so we'll figure that out as we move on through. The lane's taking shape. Looks like we're going to have a solo mid Rubik. Now, Rubik can do okay here. Where he's going to benefit the most is using his Fade Bolt, both to get some last hits safely and to go ahead and just kind of mess with Scandal a little bit. The damage reduction that comes with that just going to make it a little bit harder for Scandal to get any kind of last hits, but this should still be a one lane for Scandal pretty handily. However, again, Telekinesis is just so good at picking off any hero that's out of range at all. So if and when the movement begins, they're going to be in good shape to go ahead and use Telekinesis to try and gank that mid. TA, as good as she is, can be ganked. Refraction can keep her alive for a little while, but with no inherent escape mechanism outside of Meld, one good Sentry Ward by, and you're going to have a decent chance to go ahead and gank that mid pretty easily, especially when you're going to have a Rubik there to help out. Looks like we're going to have our Wisp and our Pudge sticking together for the most part, and we've actually been seeing this a lot more. Pudge, instead of going mid, going into a farming role, and he really does well in that role, especially on the dire safe lane, as we're seeing right now. We can already see Wisp using the tether to knock down a lot of those trees, and it's just to open things up, give them some vision of this low ground down here, and to allow Pudge to maybe land another hook or two. And this forces the Undying and the Venomancer to be a little bit more passive than they would be otherwise. We're already going to have an Ice Path out. It's going to be off the mark. Pudge leading the way. He does have a point and hook, not going to spend it for the moment, though. Instead, just going to go on back, use the rod, continue to get up some last hits. Speaking of last hits, Aoi 2000 going to be quite happy with the arrangement down here in bottom. We can already see Windrunner, handled by SS, doing what Windrunner kind of has to do in this situation. Up against a Disruptor and a CK. Even with Windrun to keep her safe, you really can't take the risk of getting down in that lane too much. You want the experience, but at this point, stacking the Ancients, not even stacking them really, instead just banging them away, that DD going to help a lot with that. But this is something that any long lane hero can do whenever they're in a situation where they know that if they get too far out, they are going to end up giving up a first blood. Just go ahead, go to the Ancients, especially if you're ranged, and do this. You can either stack them if you're really not comfortable trying to micro and trying to handle the attack, but we can see SS taking next to no damage doing this in the DD. Going to allow him to get some gold and some levels already up to level 2 just by virtue of taking down the two smaller ancient creeps. So something, no matter what your level of play, you can work into your playstyle if you end up in a long lane situation where you're not too terribly comfortable. Fogged doesn't have a lot of mana left, has been spending a lot of mana on that Fade Bolt, uses the Telekinesis there again just to kind of mess with Scandal, but we can see by the last hits, pretty even in mid, 8 apiece. And that's not going to change, at least for another moment or two. Actually, it might now. The TA's picked up her bottle. Was wondering if she was going to go bottle first. She has opted to do so, so the rune control should go to TA pretty handily. That's going to give her the ability to harass back the Rubik to trade blows and to know that she can bottle crow. Speaking of bottle crowing, yep, we're going to see Fog doing the exact same thing. So, as of right now, Fog doing a pretty good job. Again, back to SS, just doing what he can with these Ancients. The one big agent still standing. Taking a look at the last hits, we can see the big winner as of right now is Aoi 2000, sitting at 20 last hits and 7 denies at 3.5 minutes. Not bad at all. In fact, better than not bad. Almost optimal. Hook is going to land. It's going to catch ball, but down goes the Tombstone. And out comes the Ice Path as well. But with the Tombstone down, they can't stand there and fight. We can already see the Rot, as good as it is, does make it hard to stand and fight. And wow, Wisp barely gets... Oh, he is actually going to get picked off. Good job by Bulba there, coming up and using the Soul Rip. No, it actually wasn't Soul Rip. That was Decay. And now we're going to have another hook follow-up. Going to catch Veno, so make it 2-1. Even though they do manage to pick off the Wisp for the first blood. Veno ends up dropping, and it looks that in mid, yeah, we see Tides making his way over now. In mid, TA was actually able to pick off the Rubik. Didn't catch that on the camera. Sorry about that. But a lot of action already, and this is kind of what you expect, out of Empire especially, but with this lineup. The earlier you can start getting kills on Pudge, and we're not going to see him put a point into Flesh Heap anytime soon. It's going to be another handful of levels before he even does that. But you want those stacks. You want to win your lanes, especially against a picked lineup like we see out of Dignitas. that is able to do things like this, to just do a lot of damage, to guarantee you're not going to be safe. There's the glimpse, and beautiful glimpse timing. Good follow-up there out of Owie. That's going to force SS to try and take the long way around. SS gives the juke, doesn't matter. Add another kill to the total, as Owie's there swinging the big stick on the horsey man to get another kill, make it 2-2. So Owie having a good start here is just as important in a lot of ways as a Pudge having a good start. It's not quite as all-in. You can make a lot of ground up with the CK later on if you're able to start notching some small engagements. He's really good at ganking whenever you pair him up with a support. So smoke ganking to get yourself back into position after a weak laning phase is very possible. But by having a good start here, it's going to guarantee that Dignitas is going to be able to start moving around the map a lot quicker than they would otherwise. And it looks like he is going to be going ahead and picking up a magic wand down there as well, so we're going to be playing for a very stable early game, and probably just going to be happy to sit and farm that lane for a while. Fogged has to be careful. He's taking some more damage here out of Scandal. We can already see Mel doing a lot of damage. He's only got 1 point in it, as max his refraction with 1 point into the side blade, so it's only going to get worse and worse. And this, again, is pretty expected. Rubik's able to hang for a little while, but TA is just such a dominant mid-hero that there's only so much you can reasonably expect. And looks like we may have an engagement at top as Bulba's forced to pull back. Yeah, he's going to drop the Tombstone. The Tether's not going to be there for the stun, and Goldblack's going to be caught with a Venomous Gale. He's slowed. No follow-up, though. Probably the wise thing. On the backside, Scandal has made his way back out of mid. However, the TP reaction from Owie going to force him back, and now we're going to have Blow Your Brain caught out using the rock. Good Ice Path. Catches 2. Make sure to bail him out and making him a kill. Owie's in trouble. Hook is going to latch. Barely got him with that hook. That's one of the most narrow margins I've ever seen a hook catch. Scandal gets a kill on the background. In the meantime, Jakiro drops down the Macro Pyre. Bulba's not in it, but the Tether stun is there, and a good hook comes out to try and save the Jakiro. Too little, too late. We got 2 for 1 down. Is it going to be 2 for 2? Scandal and Blue chasing down the Undying. There's another meld. Yeah, Bulba is going to drop here. So Scandal off to a pretty solid start. Taking a look at the kills. Yeah, 4-0 on a TA at 7 minutes is about as good as you're going to want. Has been doing a great job moving around the map. Certainly won mid lane. Has been doing a fantastic job CS-wise. Rubik's actually ahead, but still, given how much time Scandal has spent out of the lane so far, that indicates to you just how well he was doing when he was there full-time. Fogged, for the most part, has not left that mid lane, so he's benefiting a lot from just unfettered farm. But, yeah, Owie's movement up to top. Not the best, not the worst. He's sitting at 1-1. Now just going to go ahead and go back to farming. Here in mid, we're going to see Goldblack rejoining with Scandal. Going to try and maybe get a kill here in mid. Oh, SS going to be caught with the kinetic field, the ulti from Disruptor, enough. Combined with the 4-second Chaos Bolt from Owie to guarantee the kill there. So 5-5, and this is kind of a haymaker for haymaker match so far. We got 10 kills on the board at 8 minutes in. Goldgraph pretty close to 0 on both sides, 250 in favor of the Dire, but again, that just doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. 5 last. It's same thing with the experience. It is going to go ahead and tick up a little bit in favor of the Radiant, but pretty darn close so far. TA is going to go ahead and bottle up an Illusion Rune. That's going to help a bit if she decides to move out of the lane again. Again, Owie continuing to just last hit. 37 last hits, 38 now at 8.5 minutes. Not shabby at all. We see the ward going down. Oop, I can't draw. I hate that in this mode. Can't draw because I'm not in the caster slot, but the ward does go down. Shackle Shot doesn't latch. Power Shot going to be off the mark as well. But we can already see the warding coming out from Empire, and this is so very typical of them, the way they like to play. Very aggressive. Ward here up on the high ground on the Radiant side near the Ancients to guarantee that path is well scouted. They can see if someone decides to move towards the rune. They can see if any kind of help is going to be coming from the top side, and now the counter warding. And this is important, again, for all levels of play in Dota 2. But at this level of play, with the style that Empire tends to adopt, which is ultra aggression, they like to win their games in the mid-game and not allow the game to reach a late-game phase. This is just making your opponent play in the dark. Oh, hang on. We're going to have, actually, Blow getting a kill up at top on Bulba. That's a solo kill. Does take a lot of damage, but yet another stack on the Flesh Heap when he decides to take it. He has 4 points in his hook, 2 in the rod right now, and now we're going to have Owie show up. There's a Chaos Bolt that goes out. Hook's going to land! Beautiful hook! Manages to pick Owie off and bring him under the tower. Scandal TP'd in as well. This could be the mark to push, and Scandal's right there. TP from Wisp and Blow Your Brain along with the meld gets the kill. Pudge dies on the backside. Looks like Wisp is going to be heading back under the tower momentarily. TP reaction coming in from Dignitas now, going to try and hold the line. 2 for 1 the trade. And now here in mid, we're going to have Tides of Time. Standing in the macro pyre, going to glimpse the TA back. But doesn't do much except deny a little bit of assist gold from Scandal. So, I mean, getting something out of it. If you're going to die, may as well do so as cheaply as possible, at least in terms of giving gold to the enemy team. Oh, Fogged, yes! Beautiful usage of the refraction he stole. Refracted away from the meld as Scandal used it. Now making his way across the ridgeline. Don't think it's going to be enough to get him away. Gale's going to help, but not quite enough. Ice Path comes out, unnecessary. Bulba making his way back over, but here comes Blow Your Brain. He's being banged on by the enemy creeps though that follow him, so they're very aware he's there for the moment. But again, back to the wards. Something else worth mentioning. Wards so important, again, with this playstyle that Empire uses, and just in general. But when you got a Pudge on the map, having that vision, especially of these ridge lines, again, where you're going to be able to maybe get a free hook or two throughout the duration of the game, and the counter warding, just to keep the enemy team in the dark and add to that psychological effect of having a Pudge on the map, not knowing where he is, always worried that a hook's going to come out of the woods. Here we go, SS going to be reality rifted. Here comes Scandal, tethers there, Meld has him down to half, Shackle shot latches, Owie's down, here comes Bulba, and here comes Tides as well, but Pudge is there, there's the glimpse. Way too Tides, trying to hold the line along with Bulba. And they are going to fall back under their own tower. Pudge through the hook, came up wanting. It's off cooldown. We've got 4 here from Empire. And Jakiro going to be coming in momentarily. In the meantime, Rubik continuing to just try and be effective in terms of gold. Trying to get his levels and his gold up in mid while he has a chance to do so unfettered. Scandal picks up a Blink Dagger. So the aggression, again, coming out of Empire, going to be increased, and I'd be surprised if they even try to challenge this. Oh, what a hook! Finds Bulba out in the woods. And Empire with another kill to the tally, make it 2. They're doubling up Dignitas at this point, 13-6. They're going to take a tier 1 for free here. And yeah, the rich get richer. This is looking real good for Empire. We're going to have a Wisp TP, and here we go. Fogg's got to be careful using the TA trap. Slows him down, Meld, and everything else. Enough to get the kill. Scandal. Wicked sick, according to our announcer, and he's quite right. Sitting at 7-0 at this point. Can't ask for a whole lot more out of a TA at 12.5 minutes into the game. And again, if this is your first time watching Empire, this is what you can expect in almost every game they play. Once in a while, they'll try something unorthodox, at least for them. They'll try a standard lineup or a standard sort of slow farming, sort of evenly distributed game pace. But that's definitely not what they like to do. They like to do things like this. Owie going to be hooked out in mid. The macro pyre goes down, not even necessary. All 4 are there, and Bulba's going to drop as well. And Way2 gonna be caught with a shackle shot. Tides is there. Here comes Blow. Blow misses with a hook. On the top side, though, we see Rubik being pursued. And gonna be able to use a refraction to tank through a bit of that damage. Now Empire's gonna be careful. They're all really low. Good glimpse. Gonna bring Wisp on back. He's gonna drop for sure. Ice Path comes out a bit late, but another hook out of Blow Your Brain. He's got the rod on even as he's telekinesed. So he manages to get the kill there as well. He's going to go ahead and TP back home. So Dignitas doing everything they can to try and go blow for blow with Empire. Just so tough to do. And taking a look at what Owie's opted to buy, I mean, the wand and the bottle, it seems like Owie's gone a bit overboard with the regen here. He had a majority of free farm. He didn't really need that much to keep him standing in lane, especially against a solo lane SS for the first few moments. So we're going to have a pause, and that'll allow me to look through the items at the very least. But yeah, talking about Owie, that's a lot of regen. That's 600 gold spent on the bottle, 975 spent on the boots, and the wand. I mean, when you put it all together, it's okay. You understand the wand. I think he could have skipped one or the other of the bottle or the tranquil boots. Don't know that he needed both. In fact, would have been best for him to go ahead and have treads up, which he would right now, if he had skipped the bottle, for instance, and gone with the tranquil boots, or even just gotten the bottle and gone right for treads. He'd have at least one of those up. The wand, I mean, the wand, one of the most cost-efficient items, and can really change a fight if you manage to bank up the mass amount of charges that we see he's banked already. He's got 15 charges on the thing. So, I mean, that I can understand a lot more. But to be at 13 minutes, 45 seconds in, And given the farm he has, he's sitting at 52, so not optimal by any stretch. Usually, you consider 100 CS in a lane farming carry at the pro level to be pretty okay. It's not amazing farm, but it's adequate enough. It's good enough in most situations. But he did have a predominantly solo lane. I mean, SS was in and out a bit. There was the push that kind of curtailed things moments ago. But for the most part, outside of him TPing to react and try and hold towers, which they have done admirably, might I add, all two of the 3 tier 1 towers, I should say, still standing. They did lose the bottom tower. But all that said, I feel like he's a bit thin right now. He's got the regen, fine, but the time for regen, especially against the team that Empire has assembled, I think is a little bit past us now. Wait 30 seconds, Funnick BRB, go, go, go. Awesome, awesome, coming out from Empire. But when you're talking about the meld damage, the armor reduction, and the fact that Pudge is going to be able to hit hooks, I mean, you just have to rely on a professional level Pudge, played by a player as talented as Blow Your Brain. He's going to get his hooks. And again, factor in the meld, you factor in just the pure damage output that comes out of a TA at this stage of the game, and just slow regen, or popped regen, activated regen, probably the optimum term, that you get from Tranquil Boots in a bottle, just not the most necessary. And now we're going to see it now. Now he's going to be picked off, and yeah, just look how thin he is. I mean, yes, it's 3-on-1, but we could even see just the rot. The amount of damage rot was doing was just too much. I mean, there's no reason for a CK that was given that much free farm to be taking that much damage. But anyway, Scandal has gone back to work in mid here, trying to catch up. He's actually now tops on the board in CS, sitting at 59, so surpassing the CK, which is problematic in a lot of ways, but again, just because so much was given to Aoi early, it's a problem that he's now at this stage, 15 minutes in, not the top, given he had more or less solo free farm. Moved a little bit too much, perhaps, you could argue. But Empire looking to press their advantage, and this is what good professional teams always do. They always, if they get ahead, and again, this is just Empire style, they are quite a bit ahead, almost tripling up the enemy team at this point. And we'll take a look at the goal graph momentarily. But when you get an advantage, it is so tempting. And those who play Dota, oh, what a hook! Tide's caught out at max range. And Scandal's going to get another kill. Here we go. Down goes the Macro Pyre, fogged, and Bulba want to fight it. SS is in trouble. He's going to drop. Gold Black down to below half health. Scandal stays alive because of the meld and the refraction. Has to be careful as he moves out now. There's a reality rift going to catch Gold Black. Gold Black's going to die, but there's another big hook out of Blow Your Brain. The tether stolen by Fogged, however, helps him out a bit. Telekinesis buys him enough time to get back. Good job by Dignitas. They have a chance to turn this around a bit. Blow Your Brain is not quite gonna drop. Are they gonna get him? No, the overcharge on the tether, just a bit too much. In the meantime, Scandal playing greedy. Out comes the hook that catches the worst person they could have caught, though. One of the tankier heroes they could have caught out of every one of them. So a little bad luck or bad aim out of Empire, depending on how you want to look at it. They do manage to get the Veno, and Scandal's not done banging away. He still wants to fight. Here comes the rest of Empire. And the hook's going to be off the mark. Ice Path going to catch Bulba on the backside. Dual Breath is there. That could be enough. Using the wand now to keep himself alive. Rubik's going to drop on the backside. Here comes Veno. Lands the Gale. Catches a bunch, and off goes the ulti. That's big trouble for Empire. Overextending a bit. Gold Black drops the Macro Pyre again. This fight's been going on that long. It's off of cooldown. As the dust settles, we can see Empire still ahead handling. But Dignitas able to make up a little bit of ground. They're almost being tripled up. Now they've got it down to not even being doubled up, make it 12-21. And again, this kind of plays into what I was talking about before the fight broke out there. Good teams are always going to want to press their advantage in Dota. It's so tempting to sit back and just go, okay, we're ahead, so let's just farm up and get more ahead. But understanding your lineup, understanding the way your composition works against the enemy's composition, knowing there's a CK on the other side that will get to be a monster. And as good as TA is, she's just not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with a CK if CK manages to just get free farm and to be left unfettered. So understanding what they need to do, having their goals lined out. Dignitas, though, given how poorly the early game went for them, is doing a really admirable job of stopping the bleeding here. They were on the verge of hemorrhaging, but now they've kind of put an end to that. Gold Black might get caught out here in the secret shop. He is going to be reality rifted. Ice Path goes out. Dual Breath just spending what spells he has, but he is going to drop for sure. And that goes to Aoi. So that's exactly what Dignitas needs, not only to get the free kills and the free gold where they can get it, but to try to give it to optimal heroes. And Owie, anything they can do to get him caught up a bit after he fell behind. Again, left more or less alone in that bottom lane against the solo lane Windrunner. Instead, some movement choices and some poorly fought team fights end up costing him a lot of the advantage he had due to that. So now he's still playing catch-up. Empire running his 3 predominantly here in mid. SS going to work playing a bit of catch-up on his own. We can see SS sitting at level 10. Has caught up admirably. Is really doing a good job. Everyone on the map pretty close in levels here. Scandal at 14. Leading the way, though, and that's a problem because this is when TA is going to peak. So Scandal going to be even more of a threat than he normally would be. Here comes Tides of Time. He's got a double damage room. We're going to have a Reality Rift catching Blow Your Brain. 2-second Chaos Bolt. Phantasm popped. Off goes the kinetic field. Goldblack going to be caught out. Trying to get away. And now another Reality Rift. They're chasing the Wisp. Good hook. And the glimpse back. Didn't he? There he is. I was going to say. The glimpse back brings Pudge back into the fight even after Wisp was bailed out by the hook. Empire trying to hold the tier 1 mid here. Up at top in the meantime, SS applying pressure to the tier 1 top. And that forces all of Dignitas to back. So Empire fighting that battle 4 on 4, or 4 on 5 actually. Managing to hold things together. They give up a couple of kills. Dignitas again doing well. Here we go. TP comes in. There's a shackle. Now he's caught, but the glimpse back. Beautiful usage of the glimpse, and now Blow has to get out of here. TP reactions coming in. Tides of Time. Giving pursuit now. Wants to try. Nope. Everything's on cooldown, so he can't even land a kinetic field if he does manage to catch up. In the meantime, Scandal applying pressure to mid lane. And back to Empire's playstyle. This is what they're known to do. For the last 45 to 60 days, they have made a living, literally, doing this. They have become one of the most dominant teams in the scene by playing ultra-aggressive lineups and by making sure that they always have 2 objectives in mind. Right there, for example, the objective was to pick off Owie. Anytime you can kill a CK, no matter what lineup you're up against, CK has a very predictable role within absolutely any lineup. So trying to take him off the map about as cookie cutter as it gets. But you combine that with saying, okay, Scandal has a Blink Dagger, could possibly join us for that fight. Instead, we want to try and fight that out. If we get in trouble, we'll try and run away. Let's just leave Scandal here to try and push mid. And because there was such a mass reaction to top to try and bail out Owie, we see the mid tower did drop. So Empire fighting 2-pronged attack style. Dignitas has been playing from behind for quite some time now. And this is kind of, again, you know, I've been talking a bit about Empire's playstyle and the way they fit into things. But Dignitas has kind of earned themselves a reputation as a scrappy team. A team that came from pretty much nothing. Originally, a team known as Pod and Bottom. Unsponsored, known as arguably the best unsponsored semi-professional team. They were able to secure Dignitas or basically they were acquired by Dignitas, I guess is the better way to put it. And since then, they've been doing really well. This game took place before the ESWC finals, but we all saw how well they did there. Dignitas making it to the finals against Na'Vi. Not going to insert the spoiler for those who may want to watch it, but yeah, Dignitas has become known as a very dominant team in their own right, but in a much different way than Empire. Empire, when they play, they have a tendency to just roll over you. Usually, if Empire's going to win, they're going to do it by 30 minutes, 35 minutes, somewhere in there. It's rare to see Empire slow down for more than 30, 35 minutes and go on to win. They just don't play that way. Not to say they're poor and can't close out a game. It's just they put a lot into their lineups, their composition, their picking, their play style to be able to secure those early wins. Taking a look at the items now, we can see it looks like Goldblack's going to be picking himself up a set of drums, perhaps. Scandal has BKB up as well. So, and the opting for the BKB here, I mean, the Blink Dagger first, given Empire style, really no surprise, but the BKB choice kind of tells you that Scandal's ready to transition a bit in his role. We can already see Pudge has 2 stacks or 2 points into his flesh heap, so he's going to start feeling a lot more punchy as we move through this stage of the game. We're past 20 minutes, and this is generally when I would consider to be the beginning of the mid-game. But as those stacks in flesh heap go up, and we see those stacks on flesh, or I should say the points in flesh heap go up, and the stacks in flesh heap go up. We're going to see the strength gain of Pudge begin to show itself. The magic resistance going to help quite a bit against the team that Dignitas has put together. This is something else a TA allows you to do, by the way, is take Roche a lot quicker and in a lot more risky situation than you normally would. The armor reduction from Meld, very, very good, and the hook's going to be off the mark. But the armor reduction from Meld helps out not only in big team fights, not only in one-on-one situations and ganking and what have you, but it does wonders to help you get an early Roshan, as we see Empire do right here, 22-44. And things have kind of settled out just a little bit. Taking a look at Dignitas, they are smoked up. They want to try and find something. Drums are complete on Aoi 2000. And eventually, I think we'll see him disassemble these Tranquil Boots and build those into treads. For now, they're not going to be the case. And Dignitas a little thin on items all around. The mechs is complete on Bulba. So having that mech's up going to allow them a little bit more room for error in these team fights. But, again, given the team composition that Empire has, they excel at picking off single targets, be it the hook, be it the meld, be it a good shackle shot. They're just really, really good at picking one or two heroes off very, very quickly and then relying on a pure manpower advantage to win a fight, as opposed to going pure 5-on-5. Like, you don't want to be in that situation if you're Empire. You don't want to be in a fight where TA doesn't get a good engagement and you don't land a hook. You're probably not going to win those fights. You want to pick one person off quickly, make it a 4-on-5, and do it basically in the range where Empire's doing it now. Hook is going to come up just a bit short. But Empire wants to fight here because this is right in front of another objective. If they manage to pick one person off, manage to land one good hook, Dignitas either has to sack the Tier 2 bottom, or they have to just accept that they have to defend 4-on-5, and yeah, make it possibly worse if they end up with a total wipe. So, and again, that's just what a Pudge does, why the hero is so good. We're going to have a TP up to top now. Looks like, yeah, he's just going to farm up. They'll stay tethered for the moment, and both be heading back there. And Dignitas is moving in. They're going to try and pick this off. Yep, here they come. Empire did not move too far out of position, though. Dignitas pushing out a bit. There's a shackle. That's going to catch way too. Off of the creep. No real follow-up, though. Side trap is popped, but more of a scare you kind of a measure, as Empire doesn't fully commit to the fight quite yet. Still rattling their saber a bit around the Tier 2 bottom. Go Black, actually, excuse me, said he might pick up the drums. Instead, he has opted to go ahead and grab himself a Veil. Should have known better. A Veil of Discord picked up here. Gonna add to his magic damage output in a big, big way. And gonna allow them that extra little punch they might need to seal the deal, again, in the mid-game stage. And Dignitas, again, doing quite a good job. They're having to play very defensive here, but that's no surprise at all. Force Staff looks to be the item choice for Fog now. He has picked up the Staff of Wizardry. You're usually going to see that built into a Force Staff. But, yeah, I mean, they're continuing to move very well. Force Empire onto the back foot a little bit. Force them to try and either overcommit or to 100% rely on single picking a hero, which again, given their lineup, is pretty typical. Scandal getting a little extra gold here over at the ancient camp. Not sure how long he has on his Aegis. Got another looks like another 2 or 3 minutes. So if they want to get something out of this Aegis, they're going to have to do it very, very soon. 2,700 gold in the bank for Scandal, so might even be content at this stage to just go ahead and turtle out for another Roshan. Usually not what you want to do when you have a Pudge on team, though. You want to get the most out of him when you can. You want to be teleporting around with the Wisp. You want to be guaranteeing yourself some dominance and some map control. But given how good of a game Scandal has had, sitting at 9-1-6 now. Let's see what item he opts to pick up. He is going to go with the Desolator. So he's picked up the Mithril Hammer, the first of 2 he's going to need. He's 400 gold short of the second Mithril Hammer, and then another 900 gold short of the full item, so make it 2,500 gold till that item's up. And they are going to go ahead and regroup here. So maybe just wanting to guarantee they spent a little bit of that gold while they could. And here we go. Ice Path's going to catch Fogged. And there's the big blink in from Scandal. Shackle shots there. Scandal caught with a 3-second Chaos Bolt, taking a lot of damage. Going to be locked in with the kinetic field, as is SS. Here comes Bulba, drops the Tombstone. SS and Scandal both locked in the ulti. Scandal taking a lot of damage. Down finally goes the Macro Pyre. Scandal melding through a lot of this damage, but he is going to end up losing the Aegis. Down goes Go Black at the same time. 3-for-1 trade so far. Scandal uses the BKB to get himself out of trouble. Handed the Dignitas. They're doing a great job defending the secondary and tertiary objectives. I guess at this point, just secondary. The Tier 2 towers remain standing. Back to the last hits. Aoi still trailing Scandal, but not by much. Sitting at 96 last hits at 28 minutes. Not that great. But given how much action has been taking place all over the map, one can understand why the last hit totals are a little low. On both sides, really. It's not just on his side, but on both sides. Take a look at the GPM. We can see that that's actually a bit of a different story than what just pure last hits would tell you. It's one thing to look at last hits and go, oh, okay, I guess he's pretty close in gold. But when you factor in just lost team fights, you factor in potential buybacks, you factor in the impact that taking towers has in terms of your team's ability to snowball out of control, or to just snowball in general, to get your items up. The GPM, a much better metric for that sort of thing, and we can see TA benefiting a lot from Empire's ability to lead, not just in terms of kills, but in terms of towers as well. In fact, Empire hasn't lost a single tower yet, and that's saying something. At 30 minutes into a professional game, to have played so well, to have moved so well, and to have judged your opponent's movements so well that you haven't lost one tower at this stage of the game is pretty darn impressive. So Empire looking quite dominant, but Dignitas not out of it yet. 10,000 gold, the differential here. And at 30 minutes, that's considerable. That is a bad lead. That is something Dignitas is going to have to try and make up for in very short order. Same on the experience side as well. But it doesn't mean they can't possibly win. It just means it's going to take a mistake out of Empire. There's no way at this stage of the game that Dignitas can just muscle themselves back into the game. But one lost team fight by Empire, one poorly timed TP gank, one anything is going to be a step in the right direction and get Dignitas back on track and within striking distance. Right now, though, very much Empire's game to win or to lose. And we can see, yeah, Blow's actually going to get himself a BKB as well. Well, we have a moment. Scandal has completed his deso. Just want to point something out, and again, I'm going to try and work little tips like this into a lot of the RepCasts. I am by no means a giant in the Dota world in terms of pure out-and-out game knowledge. Only been playing Dota a little while. But what little tips I can give to people who might be new to the game, I'm going to try and work in. What we saw Scandal do when he lost his Aegis, he held on to his BKB, even through that team fight, even through the early stages of that team fight at Tier 2 middle. He did not use his BKB. Instead, he had the Aegis, and he knew he might need to use the BKB to get out of trouble if that team fight didn't go well. So he held on to it. He did not use it. And lo and behold, he was able to dive. He tried to get a kill, help do some damage, but the team fight went poorly for Empire. Very well defended by Dignitas. So when the Aegis was gone, if he had used his BKB initially in that team fight, he more than likely would have died on the backside as well, would not have been able to blink away or anything. So Scandal holding on to the BKB actually meant that he counted for nothing. Picking him off meant nothing to Dignitas in any kind of practical terms outside of just winning the team fight. No gold, no nothing. So just something you may want to keep in your back pocket. If you're playing in pubs with some friends and you happen to have an Aegis and a BKB, it's not always, in fact rarely, is it going to be optimal to use your BKB at the outset. Usually you want to save that BKB for the second life off of the Aegis. So again, put that in your back pocket, use it as you will, and hopefully you will dominate faces and be like, oh, by the way, the reason I just rolled you and took a 20-minute Rax is because Ayesee is awesome and gave me that tip about the Aegis. So back to the action here. We can see the defensive posture of Dignitas has continued, and in fact has shored up even more so. Dignitas cannot afford to really run as anything but 5 at this stage. Looks like the Axe is going to be the item choice for Bulba if he manages to get there. Going to be a tall order to try and get there at this stage, though. He already has the mechs up, but that mechs really, when it came out, had potential to swing a lot of these fights, and I'm sure it helped them a bit. But usually you want that mechs as quickly as you can possibly get it, just to get the most out of the burst heal, and to help you take control of the game in the mid-game. And again, that's just when it kind of got away from them. Empire's playstyle, Empire's item choices, even the Ghost Scepter now on the Wisp, who has opted to go ahead and grab the drums as well. So, yeah, at this point, Empire really in control of this game, and playing very smart, might I add. They are probably turtling out another Roche, as we're about to see the timer complete now. BKB done on Pudge. And this is going to be make or break for Dignitas. I don't even know that they're going to challenge this. They kind of have to, really. They cannot afford to give away another free Aegis. But if they lose this fight at Roshan, it's GG, essentially. There's really no way that they're going to be able to stop Empire if Scandal has 2 lives. And we can already see, between the Deso's armor reduction, I mean, look at Roche's armor again. This is from Meld from the Deso. He's at -7 armor. So even at 33 minutes, when Roche is going to start to feel a little bit more beefy and tanky, right now he's just basically being soloed by Scandal with no real concern at all. And it is going to go down. Hook's going to be off the mark. Blow has been pretty quiet ever since everyone kind of got defensive. And Scandal, with the tether, is going to go ahead and move to the high ground. They're ready to fight. Here we go. There's a side trap that's going to catch 2. There's a big blink ahead, and the BKB is used. Way2 being melded down. Off goes the Tombstone and the ulti. Now the Ice Path comes in on the backside. Down goes the Macro Pyro. Bulba's going to drop. Ow, he's caught in it as well. He goes down. Fog drops. BKB's up. Being used by Blow and by Scandal. There's a hook off the mark. Way2 with a good little juke. Can't juke a meld, though. Empire gets that kill. That's 4-0. And yeah, the GGs come out. Beautiful play here out of Empire. And again, this is what they've really made their name doing. This is just Empire style. They do it well, and they do it often. Gonna go ahead and flash to the Ancient now and wait on the score screen to come up. But as things wind down here, I want to thank everyone for watching this video. Hopefully it has been enjoyable. This is my first RepCast, as I'm terming it. Just going to be grabbing replays from what tournaments I can. I will always link to the original cast as well. So if you hate this, if you listen, you go, God, this EC guy annoys me, I'll make sure I give you another source to watch the same game with another broadcaster down just below the video. Would love it if you guys would hit subscribe here on my YouTube channel. These are my attempt to build a little bit of content on YouTube and to try and improve my presence on the web. And if you have enjoyed the cast, though, aside from finding future RepCasts here, you can catch me casting the D2L. The D2L, as of this moment, winding down its group stage, and you can find that on twitch.tv/OneMoreGameTV. That is sponsored by, or put on, I should say, thrown, I guess if you want to talk about it like it's a party, thrown by Evil Geniuses, and sponsored by RaidCall, by Monster Energy, by Sapphire, and by Intel. So if you guys did enjoy, again, would love to have you in for the D2L broadcast in the future. Usually I'm with Draskell, another baller-ass caster, good friend of mine, and an awesome guy all around.